Think of the Jersey Shore on a July evening, and you probably picture boardwalk games, Coors custard, and thousands of vacationers looking for an escape. You also probably don't think twice about stepping into the water. Today, the coast is blanketed by an invisible safety net of lifeguard stands, colored warning flags, and routine Coast Guard patrols. But that sense of security is relatively new. Before it became a regulated tourist destination, this stretch of sand was a deadly frontier, a place where nature and outlaws routinely overpowered anyone who got in their way. To understand how the modern beach vacation became safe, we have to look at three distinct eras of chaos off the New Jersey coast, three panics that forced the country to develop the maritime laws, science, and rescue institutions we rely on today. In the 19th century, New Jersey's barrier islands were a nautical nightmare of shifting shoals. Navigating them was a gamble, and in February of 1846, the coast was slammed by a massive winter storm. A packet ship named the John Minturn, returning from New Orleans, was pushed backward into a sandbar off Mantoloking. The freezing surf pounded the hull until the ship broke apart, killing 38 people within sight of the beach. The horrific loss of life sparked immediate public outrage. But instead of blaming the storm, the national press found a different scapegoat: the locals. Newspapers in New York published sensational reports accusing the Monmouth County residents of being land pirates. They claimed these locals deliberately lured the John Minturn into the shallows to steal its cargo, even accusing them of plundering corpses that washed ashore. A state investigation later revealed the truth. Coastal residents had actually waded into the freezing surf to save survivors. The real problem was a total lack of infrastructure. They had no surf boats or specialized gear capable of breaching the violent waves. Because local volunteers couldn't fight the ocean empty-handed, Congress appropriated the first federal funds to build dedicated rescue stations along the coast. This response to the Minturn tragedy grew into the organized U.S. Life-Saving Service. 70 years later, in the summer of 1916, a brutal heatwave and city polio outbreaks drove unprecedented crowds to the New Jersey seaside, where thousands sought relief in the waves. In 1916, top ichthyologists insisted sharks were timid, arguing their jaw structures were physiologically incapable of biting through bone. When a swimmer died off Beach Haven, experts dismissed a shark attack. In reality, a great white's bite force reaches 4,000 pounds per square inch. The denial shattered as the attacks continued. Over 12 days, 5 people were targeted. The predator even swam miles inland, hunting a young boy and a man in a narrow freshwater creek in Matawan. Public panic emptied the beaches. Resorts enclosed swimming areas with steel nets, while heavily armed vigilante fleets patrolled the coastline with dynamite and rifles to exterminate the threat. The horror of the Jersey man-eater forced ichthyologists to reassess their assumptions. The events of 1916 led to the first systematic studies of shark behavior in the Atlantic, proving these animals were formidable apex predators. Just a few years later, the threat off the shore shifted back to human outlaws. During Prohibition, a 12-mile stretch of international waters known as Rum Row became a floating, illegal marketplace for imported liquor. Pop culture remembers this era through the lens of gentlemen smugglers like the real McCoy. The reality was an unregulated war zone plagued by hijacked cargoes and murders. Independent operators were soon squeezed out as major crime syndicates took over the operations to feed the massive, thirsty markets in New York and Philadelphia. The smugglers relied on high-speed contact boats equipped with 500-horsepower Liberty engines. Compared to a standard Coast Guard cutter, they were nearly twice as fast, leaving federal authorities in their wake. Faced with a humiliating gap in capabilities, the federal government transferred 20 Navy destroyers directly to the Coast Guard. The upgrade transformed the agency into the modern, militarized law enforcement branch we see today. When you stand on the boardwalk today, looking out at the Atlantic, the safety nets protecting beachgoers are practically invisible. Yet every Coast Guard vessel on the horizon, every federal life-saving station, and our understanding of the predators swimming just beyond the break exists because of these three historical panics. We have lighthouses, professional rescuers, and modern maritime laws because the chaos of this coast left the country with no other choice. It was the place where America developed the systems we now take for granted to survive the ocean.